All of you. Yeah. Let's start. Okay, just a second. Yeah. So, so hope everyone is comfortable and you are settled, right? So we'll start. Okay. So in the last class we were talking about the flow control. Yes, we're talking about flow control, right? So we saw different types of loops. We have discussed about the break, continue statements, how they affect the loop's execution, and we discussed about the nested loops or inner loops, and we have gone through a couple of exercises. Fine. So today, before we proceed any further, I would like to show you people one more example, which is on switch. Just a minute, please. Okay. So this exercise, which I'm going to show you people now, should help you people the in and outs of the switch here. Just a second. Okay, before switch, let's see another question here. Yes, question number 63. Just check this once, all of you. Here in line number 12, so TP followed by semicolon. It's not semicolon, actually it's colon. Okay, it's just colon. So what does that means? TP colon means basically it's a label, right? It is a label. Yes. So what's the result here? Yes. What's the output? Okay. C. Fine. Let's see. Actually, here, is this possible? Most of you people might be thinking, can we do this? Can we have a for loop this way without a declaration, condition statement, and the incrementation or decrementation part? So, what do you people think? Yes, actually, it is possible. It becomes an infinite loop. Okay. So, if you don't specify any condition here, so in case of for loop, if we don't specify a condition, then it's an infinite loop. It is considered as an infinite loop here. Yes, the loop which will never end. Okay. Yes, never ending loop. So but there is one issue with this loop here. I'll tell you people, you know what, this part of that loop has got a problem. We got a nested loop here. Okay, that's not a problem, but you see in that inner loop, that if condition has got a problem. What is the problem here? Break TP, that break statement we are using it twice. So that becomes an issue. Why it's an issue? You know, in line number 17, we got a break statement which instructs the control to break the outer loop. Here TP is a label which refers to the outer loop, right? TP is a label which refers to the outer loop here. Yes. So here that outer loop breaks. So is there any scope for the second break statement to execute? Is there any scope for the second break statement to execute? No, it won't execute, right? Yes. Okay, there's no scope for the second break statement to execute. So that means I can say that it is actually unreachable code. That code will never execute. Unreachable code, the code which never executes. Yes. So in Java, we should not write unreachable code. You're not supposed to write unreachable code. The code which never executes, you're not supposed to write it. So if we write it, it is considered as an error. Yes, that is error here. So let me show you people. And just a minute. Mohit, is this your first session? Hi.
Yes.
Oh, okay, sorry. I didn't notice. I'll talk to you after the session, okay? Yeah. And Yes, that's it, right? Yeah. Okay. S- Just a minute. Let this ID start. Oops, I'm sorry. I opened the wrong workspace. Okay. You see, for suppose we have this nested loop here as well. Okay, we got the nested loop. Not only nested loop, you know that need not be a nested loop. You see, I'll add break statement twice here. In the if condition, we also got a if condition here. This is the program which we have worked with yesterday. So the second break statement which you got here, you see, yep, it says unreachable code. It is actually unreachable code here. Yes, unreachable code means the code which never executes. In Java, we are not allowed to write unreachable code. Yes. So is this clear for you people? Any questions in this regard? Yep. So are you people clear? Okay, fine. So good. Next, I'm going to show you people another question here. Just check this question and let me know the answer. This is related to switch case here. Okay, I got one answer. Okay, I got a few more answers. Okay, fine. So let's trace the output for this program. Okay, will trace the output. So in this program, you see here, we got this variable I equal to 1 and j equal to 0. We got two variables, and I value is passed as a selection value to the switch. I value is passed as selection value to the switch here. So that I value, it doesn't match any of these case values, right? So what happens? Straight away the default case executes here. So after this default case executes, next what happens? So what about this case 0? Will it execute? Because there is no break statement, right? That case 0, is it going to execute? I can say yes, it executes because there is no break statement after the default case. So case 0 has to execute. It executes at an increments j value by 4. First default case executes j value by 2. Initially j value is 0. Default case increments it by 2. That means j value becomes 2. And then what happens here? That case 0, when it executes, it increments j value by 4. Okay. So j value is 2. Now it becomes 6. Yes, that's it. So j value is 6. So the answer is going to be D here. Answer is D. Okay. Yep. And the case values here, you see, we need not follow any order for this. And default case can be anything. That is what I wanted to show you people here. Okay. Yes. It can be anywhere. Yes. Okay. So any questions in this case? Let me know. So hope this is clear for you people, right? Yes. So if it is clear, let's move on. Yeah, tell me.
The case 0, I couldn't understand how that executed. I mean, like default can be executed, but case 0, here we said switch I, right? I is 1, but J is 0.
Yeah,
So I didn't understand.
yeah.
Yeah,
What
I didn't
happens is,
understand how the 0 execute
yeah,
case 0.
got your question. Because in switch, what happens is, if there is no break statement in that case, in that particular case, if there is no break statement, the next case is going to definitely execute. The consecutive cases which follow this case will execute. For suppose, in our case, if I value is 4, if I value is 4, then what happens? Case 4 executes. After that, there is no break statement in case 4. So default case in case 0 also executes. That is how, that flow is designed. Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. So, and why we have this kind of flow? Actually, I've discussed about it in Switch when I was talking about Switch. So, I hope I'll be sharing that records with you people today, so you can just check that. Okay. Yeah. So, now let's move on. Today, I'm going to talk about arrays. Okay. we'll discuss about arrays concept here. Yes. So arrays, let's see why we need this concept, arrays concept here. Yes, Prashant and Siri, you people have just joined, right? So I'm just starting with this arrays. So far I've discussed about the questions, actually exercises. Yeah. Okay. So here, first suppose I got a variable this way. If I declare a variable, let's say int I, into this variable, how many integer values can we store into this variable? How many integer values can we store? One. That's it. Just one integer value. So can't we store more than one integer value? Isn't it possible? I can say no, it is not possible. We can't store more than one integer value. Just one integer value can be assigned to this variable. That variable can hold only one value at a time. At any given point of time, it can take only one value. For suppose here, let's say I need to store five integer values. I need to store five integer values. Then what to do? So in that case, okay, one of the options which you got here is you have to declare five integer variables. Let's say I, j, k, l, m, n. This is one option. You can do this. So for suppose, what if I have to store 50 values? In that case, you need to declare 50 variables then. So that won't look like a feasible, solution, right? To store 50 values, declaring 50 variables. If I've got 1,000 values, then declaring 1,000 variables would be really difficult. Yes. So that is where, the concept of arrays comes into the picture. Arrays. That is where we use arrays concept here. Arrays. So an array, I can say that an array it can hold a collection of similar values. An array can take a collection of similar values, a set of similar values, I can say. Array can hold a collection of similar, a set of similar values or similar elements, I can say. Similar values or elements. So in our case, what we can do is here we want to store five values, right? Instead of declaring five variables to store five values, what I can do is I can create an array. In place of that, I can create an array, something like this, to store five values. Yes. So how do we create an array? You see, this is the syntax for that. Normally, we'll declare a variable, right? So now here also ARR is a variable followed by the variable If you place curly brackets, that indicates that we want an array. We want to create an array. Yes, array which can take integer values. In this case, what happens? An array will be created. Okay, you'll find that array will be created which can take integer values. How many integer values? That is specified here. New keyword actually is used to specify, or it is used to ask your, your Java to allocate some memory, I can say. So using new keyword, we are asking, we are requesting your JVM to allocate some memory for that array. So how much of memory is needed? Uh, that size is specified, int of 5, which indicates that an array, uh, the memory which can take 5 integer values. Int of 5, it indicates that we want the memory which can take 5 integer values. That's it. So what is new doing here? New is used to request your JVM to allocate some memory. So memory for storing 5 integer values, followed by new, we got this int of 5, which indicates that we want this array to hold, that memory to hold 5 integer values. Yes, fine. So when we do this, okay, when your JVM executes the statement, you know what it does? The JVM will allocate a block of memory, contiguous memory. JVM allocates a block of contiguous memory here. So that memory block will be divided into 5 parts. That memory block will be divided into 5 parts here. Yes. And that memory will be named ARR. That variable name will be given here. So this memory itself represents an array now. And you see that that memory is divided into 5 parts or 5 cells, I can say. 5 cells. And each cell has got an index. It starts with 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's it. Yes. So each cell has got an index and each cell can take one integer value. It can hold one integer value, you can say. Yes. So that means what will be the size of each cell here? Can you people tell me? What will be the size of each cell? 4 bytes. Yes, that's right. Size of each cell will be 4 bytes because each cell has to accommodate an integer value, right? So altogether for this array, how much of memory is allocated? 20 bytes of memory is allocated, I can say. Altogether, 20 bytes of memory is allocated for this array. Now, how can we access that cells? How can we access that array and the cells which you got in that array and store the values? So for that, now you need to write the syntax. So it's pretty simple and straightforward. You have to use the array name and in the brackets specify the cell index. That's it. In the brackets, you need to specify the index of that cell here. That's it. ARR of 0. Okay. And then you can assign a value. Let's say 12. That's it. Error of 1. Similarly, error of 2. This way you can access each cell and you can assign a value to that cell. So let's write the code here. You see error of 0, say 12, error of 1, error of 2, error of 3, error of 4. So these are the legal index values from 0 through 4. That's it. Now in each cell we have stored a value. Yes, each cell holds a value now. That's it. Okay. So how do I read a value from a particular cell? How do I read a value from a particular cell here? It's pretty simple and straightforward. For suppose I want to read the value which is in cell 1 or index 1, I can say we don't use the term cell. Normally we say index here. That's it. So here I can do this error of 1. So error of 1 in that at that index you have this value 3 4. So we say elements. The values which we store into this array we call them as elements. Now I can say that in this array you got 5 elements. So at index 1 we got that element 3 4 34. That's it. Okay, let's run this code. 3 4. That's it. Sorry. Now what if you want to read all the values from that array? All the values means right from index 0 through 4. All the values here, all the elements which are in that array. So that means we need to access that array through that cells using that index itself, right? Yeah. So that index values, if you keenly observe, you will find that we can actually uh, generate that index values, right? So how can we generate that index values? We can use a for loop, a while loop. Okay, you can use any loop here. Okay, yeah. Just a second, please. Okay, sorry. So we can use a loop for this purpose, right? We can use a loop. So let me write a loop here which can generate that index values, so that we can use that index values. In turn, we can use that index values to read the elements from the array. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So now we got a for loop here. How many times this loop iterates? That condition, it depends on that condition, you people know that. So here the condition is I less than arr dot length. Okay. So that length, what is that length? Length is one of the property of the arrays. Okay. It's one of the property in the array. Okay. That length, it holds the size of that array. As of now, what is the size of that array or length of that array? What is the length or size of the array? So it is 5. In our case, the length or size of the array is 5. Okay. So that means that length property, it holds that value 5 now. So arr dot length means it's just 5. Okay. It is 5. So hope you people got it. So arr dot length means 5 here. Yes. Now I have a question. How many times this loop iterates? How many times the loop iterates here? Yes. Loop, how many times it iterates? 5 times. Yes. So this loop, it iterates 5 times. So the condition is I less than 5 here. Error at length means 5, as I told you people. That length property, it represents that value 5. So this loop iterates 5 times. Okay. So for each iteration of this loop, I value is going to change, you know that. For the first iteration, I value is 0. For the second iteration it is 1, 2, 3, and so on like that. Yes. So this loop executes for I values 0 through 4. So once I value reaches 5, the loop terminates, and that I value will use it here in the loop to in the loop will use it as an index here to read that element. Okay, so let me run this code. For each iteration, that I value changes, which acts as an index, we'll use them to read the values here. You see? So hope you people got it. Yes. So any questions in this regard? Okay. So hey Neil, I guess you got problem with the net today. You're facing an internet issue. You're on and off. Okay. Okay. Fine. So hope this is clear for everyone. So how to use this loop to read the elements from the array. Okay. If you got any downloads or uploads, just check once. Try to avoid them if there are any. Okay. Next, we can also use a while loop here to read the elements. And one important thing, all of you, um, if you're using an Eclipse IDE, it is very easy to generate the loop here to read the elements from the array. Yes, we can easily generate the loop to read the elements from the array. So how do we do that? Let me show you people. So you see, as of now, I didn't write any code here for that for loop. Just type in for, yes, I'm going to generate the code. Okay, I'm going to generate that. I'll take the help of IDE to create that for loop here. Yes. So just type in for and press Control space. Type in for and press Control space here. So what happens? See, IDE will identify that array which you have created before this for statement. If there is any array, it identifies that array, and you see it generates the code. It generates a loop to read the elements from that array. It generates a loop to read the elements from that array. You see the first statement what it says. For iterate or an array. On the left side you see you got that code also which it generates. I'll just select it. That's it. That's all. See, I didn't write the code. I got this code here completely. Okay. All I need to do is just add this statement SOP error of I. That's it. So is it clear for you people? All of you? So you can just take the help of content assist. Control space. Control space helps you people a lot. Okay. Yes. It will give you assistance here in code generation. It shows you templates which you can make use of. Yes. Okay, fine. Now this is a normal loop. Now I'm going to introduce you people to a special loop called as for each loop. We got a special loop here called as for each loop. So this loop, it is specially developed or it is specially used to read the elements from the arrays and from the collections. So collections part, we'll see it later. Now, as of now, what you can think is here, this loop is specially used to read the elements from the arrays, I can say. It is specially used to read the elements from the arrays. Yeah. So it's a advanced loop, I can say. So let's see the syntax of this for each loop. First of all, it's a kind of automatic loop. Syntax is you know, for each, we don't use that each keyword. For each also, we'll use for keyword itself. For, and you'll have a temporary variable. You have to declare a temporary variable of type array, and followed by a colon, and you have to pass array reference here, and you'll have a block associated to it where you can have statements. Yes. You know, the temporary variable here should be always of type array. We can create array of different types. We can create an array of different types here. So to store different types of values. As of now, in our example, we have created an integer array which can hold integer values. Similarly, you can create a float array, byte array. Yes. So now if you want to read the elements from that array, in case of for each loop, first of all, you have to declare a temporary variable of the type array. Yes. And then followed by that, you'll pass a array reference or array name, I can say. What is that array name or array reference in our example? In our example, what is that array name? It is ARR. Yes, ARR. Okay, that's all we need to do. Now, the rest of the things here will be taken care of by the for each loop itself. Reading the elements will be taken care by the for each loop. Yeah. So what it does is, for each iteration, now you know how many times this for each loop is going to iterate here. You know, the for each loop, for the for each loop, we will not specify any condition. We will not specify how many times it is supposed to iterate. We don't do that. Okay, we are not supposed to specify how many times the for each loop is supposed to iterate. Okay, we will not write any conditions. Then how the for each loop is going to understand how many times it is supposed to iterate? You know, the size of the array matters here. Okay, so the for each loop, what it does is it will read the size of the array. Yes, it is capable of reading the size of the array. It reads the size of the array, and it iterates that many times. If the size of the array is 10, okay, the array reference which you're passing here, that array size, if it is 10, then it iterates 10 times. If that array size is 5, then it iterates 5 times this way. And for each iteration, what it does is here, it reads an element. For each iteration, it reads an element. Okay. So in our example, you see, we got this array which has 5 elements. So for the first iteration, it reads the first element, and what it does here, it will store that element or that value into that variable, temporary variable, and that variable, you can use it in that block. For the first iteration, it reads first element, will store it in the temporary variable. For the second iteration, it reads the second element and stores it into the temporary variable. For the third iteration, it reads the third element and it stores it into the temporary variable. So for every iteration, the temporary variable value is going to change. For each iteration, it holds one element of that array. Yes, and we can use that variable and the value which is stored in that variable in this block, which is associated to that for each loop here. So that is how it works. Yes. So it is better to show you people an example on this. Yeah. So for now, you see, as I told you people, don't use each keyword. Okay, for each loop, we are not supposed to use each keyword, just for, that's it. And now first thing what we need to do is we have to declare a temporary variable here. So in our example, the temporary variable should be what type? Temporary variable should be integer type. Yes, you say int I, let's say. So first of all, we have to declare a temporary variable of type integer. Yes. So what's next? After that, you see followed by colon. We have to pass that array reference. Here it is ARR. That's it. So for each iteration, I value is going to change, as I told you people. So we'll do this. Even the system.out.println statement, you know what? I don't write that code explicitly. Have you people noticed it? Yeah. I don't type that statement system.out.println. What to do? Type in sys okay, type in sys and then press control space. That's it. Sys and then press control space. That's it. So now I'll read the value which is stored in the temporary variable. I'll read the value which is stored in the temporary variable. You see this block associated to the for loop. In our case, it executes 5 times. So for each iteration, that I value will change each time. It holds one element. Yes, that's it. Okay, so let's run this code. You see, so is it clear for you people? So anyone got any questions in this regard? Okay, so can I assume that this is clear for you people? Okay, so let me give you a small task here. Actually, now we saw how to create an array uh, using one approach. There is one another approach which you can follow here to create an array. I can also do this. I can create an array this way as well. Instead of using that new keyword followed by that specifying the size, what we can do is we can just do this int error of brackets. That's it. And then in the brackets you see in the angular brackets you'll specify the elements 10, 24, 55. They're separated by comma. They are nothing but the elements which you want to store into that array. Now what will be the size of the array here? So in this case we didn't specify the size, right? So it always depends on the number of elements in that array. Yes, it will be 3 here. That's it. So this is the other way of creating the array. Okay. Now I'm going to create another type of array. For suppose I would like to store character values. So I'll create a character array, something like this. That's it. Okay. Now you see in this array I'm storing 5 character values. So the size of this array is going to be 5. Now you got a task. What you need to do is create a for each loop which can read the elements from this array. Create a for each loop to read the elements from this array. Yes. Uh, Type it in a text editor in your machine. First of all, type the complete code somewhere in a text editor in your machine, and then paste it here in the GoToMeeting chat. Okay. 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 Okay, so uh, just correct it. I will show you people if there is any issue. We can just check that. You know what? Here uh, again, you can just take the advantage of this ID. You don't need to explicitly type in the code here to generate this for each loop. So what you can do is just type in for and then press control space. Type in for, press control space. You see here the fourth option for each. The fourth option is for each. Iterate over an array or iterable. You see you got this template proposal for each. So you can simply make use of it. Okay, just make use of it here. Yeah. So I'll select this option. That's it. You got the for each loop here. You see, first we got a temporary variable of type character because the array type is character type here, and you're passing that array reference. That's it. So I'll write this code here. Use I would like to print all the characters in a single line. Okay, in the same line. So I'll use print method instead of print ln. Okay, I'll use print method instead of print ln here. Yes. So that's it. Let me run this code. So you got the answer here. Okay. So hope everyone understood this. So anyone got any questions in this regard, please let me know. Okay. So most of you people have done this right. Yes, and Neil, this code which I've generated, it is using a normal for loop, and this code which I've written here is for each loop here. So hope you got it. Okay, fine. Hi Satish, can you hear me? Just a minute. Satish, hi, can you hear me?
You.
Okay, fine. So just listen to the sessions of this. This is ongoing class. So I'll talk to you after the class. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, then, thank you.
Okay. Fine. Yeah. Sure. So now we saw a couple of arrays. You see, which we can create here to store different types of values. Like for integers, create an integer array. For characters, create a character array. And for float values, create a float array. You can create any type of array. Okay. Now we'll talk about a two-dimensional array. A two-dimensional array. Okay, yes, let's try to do that. Just a second, please. Just a second. Yeah, sorry. Now let's see two-dimensional arrays. Two-dimensional arrays. 2D arrays. Two-dimensional array. Sorry. Two-dimensional array. So 2D array, two-dimensional array means I can say that this is basically an array of arrays. Array of arrays. Yes. Array of arrays. Let's see how to create a two-dimensional array and what do I mean by array of arrays. Let's see. Here I can create a 2D array this way. So each square brackets here, it indicates a dimension. Two square brackets means two dimensions here for that array. And for each dimension you can specify size, need not be same here. The first dimension which you got here, the first square brackets here, I can say that the size in this case we have specified it as 3 here, you see, and the second dimension is 2. You'll find that basically you'll have two different types of arrays in this 2D array. In the 2D array you'll have two different types of arrays. Yes, in the array you'll have two different types of arrays. So one is an array of array and the other one is a sub array, which is an element in an array again. Yes, just a second, please, just a second. Yeah, I'm sorry. So okay, no, I said one of this dimension here, the first dimension, I can say that it's a array of arrays. Array of array. That means, what do you mean by array of array? Array of array means here the elements of that array will not be values or primitive values or something like that, but instead, in turn, they will be arrays. The elements of this array will be arrays again. Yeah, this element, this array is going to hold arrays. Yeah, they will be what type? Integer type itself, and the size of those arrays will be 2. They call as sub arrays because they are inside another array. We call them as sub arrays here. So I better explain it with an example with this image here. Let me do that. Yes. So the first dimension, the array, the main array dimension is how much? 3. So first an array will be created here with the size 3. An array will be created Which size? 3 here. Yes. So just a second. This will be the main array whose size is 3. Let's say the index values are 0, 1 and 2. Yes. And here we got another dimension, right? 2. That dimension is the dimension of subarray. The dimension is the dimension of subarray here, whose size is 2. So this array which we have here, you see whose size is 3. This array, the elements of this array are not simple values as I told you people. The elements of this array are going to be arrays again. We call them as subarrays. Yes. So that subarray size here is 2. That subarray size is going to be 2. So this array reference will be stored into that main array. The reference of this array will be stored in the main array. Main array holds the reference to this array. So the same is going to be the case here for the other cells as well. See, the index of this subarray will be again 0, 1 this way. Just a second. So index for each subarray again will be 0, 1. Okay. Yes. Legal index values will be 0 and 1 because the size of each subarray is 2. Yes. So this is what happens. So when that statement executes, this array creation statement executes. Yeah. So this is a two-dimensional array, a 2D array. Now that sub-arrays which you got here, they can take the integer values, I can say. Yes. They're used to actually hold that integer values. That means how many integer values can we store into this array now altogether? How many integer values can we store? 6. Yes. Into that subarray itself, we can store that values. Altogether, it takes 6 integer values here. That's it. So, how do we access the subarrays and store the values into that subarrays? It's pretty simple and straightforward. If you want to access the first subarray here, which is at index 0, then you do this. First of all, use the array name and then the main array index. Main array is at index 0. And in that main array, we got a subarray, and in that subarray, I would like to access that cell whose index is 0. So use 0 here. That's it. So the first index refers to the main array cell, and the second index refers to the subarray cell here. That's it. Okay, you can assign some value. Similarly, you can access the first subarray's second cell this way. Okay, let's try to do that here. So ARR of 0 of 0, say 12, 0 of 1. So we have stored the values into the first subarray. Similarly, you can store the values into the second subarray this way. Then into the third subarray. Okay, that's it. So now the question is here, how do we read the values from the subarray? How do we read the values from the subarray? Sorry, from the array. Let's say not subarray, nested loops. Yes. You see, we got two different types of arrays here, right? Two set of arrays here. So to read the elements of the first array, we need a loop, and further to read the elements of that subarray, again we need a loop here. Okay. For main array, we need a loop, and for the subarray also, we need a loop here. Yes, we need two loops. So it has to be a nested loop here. Yes. So this values which you got here, 0, 1, sorry, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, that index values, that combination of index values, we can generate them using a nested loop here. To generate that first set of values, 0, 0, 1, 1, so that values, to generate them, we can use that main, we can use a loop here, this way, array of. Now, array of length means it refers to that main array size itself, but to avoid confusion for you people, I'll just use 3. So first, we'll read the elements from the main array. So main array size is 3. So now we have written this condition, I less than 3, which helps us to read the elements from the main array. Yes. Okay. Next, now for the subarray, we'll write another loop here, nested loop, which iterates 2 times because we got only 2 elements. For the subarray, I'll just do this again. And then now I'll write this code, array of I, comma j. That's it. Array of I, comma j here. That's it. Okay. So for each iteration of outer loop, the inner loop iterates 2 times and it generates the values 0 and 1. That's it. So inner loop altogether, how many times it iterates? Inner loop altogether, how many times it iterates? Six times. Yes, it iterates 6 times. That's right. Okay, so let's just run this code here. So you got all the 6 values. So is it clear for you people? So anyone got any questions? Okay. Now I have a small task for you people. Now I want you people to write a for each loop here. Write a for each loop to read the elements from this array. Write a for each loop to read the elements from this 2D array. Yes, for each loop. Try that once. No, that syntax won't work. I want for each loop. Okay, let me show you people. Fine. So all of you concentrate here. So not much difficult. So first of all, I'll create a for each loop here which reads the elements from that main array. You see, the temporary variable type, it should be what type here? Temporary variable type should be this integer array. Why integer array? Because what are the elements which you got in that main array? What elements you got in that main array? Yes. What type of elements you got in that main array? Yes. Main array holds integer arrays, right? The elements of the main array are integer arrays, which can take integer values. So that's the reason why you see the temporary variable type here, I've declared it as integer array type. Okay, integer type here. Next, followed by colon, and then we'll pass that array reference. That's it. So for each iteration, you'll get one integer array. Okay, for each iteration, you'll get one integer array from that main array. Okay, from the main array, you'll get one integer array. So let's read the elements from that integer array. So that integer array is that integer array reference is stored in this variable is temporary. So let's now create another for each loop in this for each loop itself, a nested for each loop to read the elements from that integer array. You see, I'm passing that sub array reference whose values are integer values. So I've declared a temporary variable I integer type. That's it. Read that I values. So let me run this code. So is it clear for you people?
Please explain it for me once.
Yeah, hello.
Oh, yeah, I need one more explanation.
Yes, Vani, tell me.
Int of
Okay,
that is.
your voice is low.
Yeah.
Shall I repeat it? That is what you're saying.
Yeah. What is that? Yes, is.
Your voice is very low, Vani. I'm sorry. Could you please be louder? Or just make sure that you're close to the mic.
Yeah. I guess is that a variable.
Variable.
Is.
Yes. Yes, it's a variable, temporary variable, which you have declared. It is of type integer array.
We can declare any variable we like,
Yeah,
or
variable
it is
name can
only
be anything. Yes. Variable name can be anything. But why integer array? Because the elements of that array, main array, are integer arrays, right? That's the reason why we did this. Okay.
I thought that is default by default.
No, no, not a default. There is it's a temporary variable. Variable name can be anything you wish. You can use any variable name. Okay. Fine. And Tarun, you want me to explain once again? Yes. You see, basically here also, in case of for each loop, we have to create two loops here. One loop to read the elements of main array. So the elements of main array are in turn arrays again, right? They are arrays, sub-arrays, which can take integer values. So they are integer arrays. The elements of the main array are integer arrays. The size of the main array is 3 here. So that's the reason why what I did, I've declared a temporary variable of type array which can actually which can take integer arrays. So that is the type which I have specified here, that temporary variable type, and we are passing that reference. So when we do this, now for each loop, we'll read the elements from the main array. That elements are integer arrays. So for each iteration, it reads one integer array and will store that reference in this variable is. Okay. So now we have to read the elements which are in that integer array. That is the sub array here, which is stored in that main array. For that, we are writing another for loop. So you'll pass that array reference, and in that integer array, in that sub array, you got this integer variables. So I'll declare this temporary variable of type integer, and then we'll use this loop here, the nested loop, to read the elements from that array, from that sub array. You can see. That's it. Okay. So the main loop reads the elements from the main array. That sub nested loop, it reads the elements from the sub array here. So any other questions? Okay then. So if it is clear, so I'll do one thing. I'll stop it here. You know, we'll make sure that we'll start a new topic tomorrow. Again, I've got few more things, but I'll stop it little early today. So in the next class, I'll talk about few expressions which you'll see, like increment and decrement operators and all. We'll discuss about few operators, and then we'll go through object oriented programming. Okay, so I'm going to start with object oriented programming tomorrow. Yes, fine. So that's all for today. Yeah, thank you all. Have a nice day. Bye bye.